Hello, and welcome back to the Homeschool Experience, where we talk about home education, culture, and faith. My name is Joanna Toleno, and I'm your host, along with
Johannes Acevedo.
And Elizabeth Angemotsu.
And we are back, you guys. We are back after a very long summer break. We're back, and we're so excited to bring you today a topic that we think is going to be really helpful, we hope, about going back to homeschooling and what that looks like. And we just want to share a little bit of what we do in hopes that that will be encouraging to you. We know that not a single home looks the same as the next, right? Like every single family is so different. So this is just what we do and what works for each of us. And you're going to notice that it's very different for each of us. Yeah, we just want to share more of that and help you as you start this new homeschool year.
episodes like this is always fun because you get to kind of look at what your neighbor's doing. You know, you get to kind of peek into the homeschool basket of your people that you follow on Instagram or friends you know. I think that we all have this like curiosity how other people are doing things. Is there something else that you should be implementing into your schedule, your routine,
Mhm.
any kind of good resource or curriculum? So, I know we're going to talk about a lot of things today, like curriculum picks, wellness tips, planning for the year. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm curious, for just like the main subjects, tell me what your curriculum picks are for this year, along with the ages of your children.
Yes. Do you want to start, Elizabeth?
Sure. Okay. So I will ages of our kids. So 11, 9, 7, and 4.5. And I will start with math. Math, we've been using Singapore math. It's math and focus. So Singapore math has a different types of curriculum within Singapore math. And we've tried another one. We've kind of settled more recently, the last few years, of just sticking with math and focus. That's a pick mainly because math isn't my strongest subject, and Singapore math, or math and focus, does a good job, in my opinion, of presenting how to solve different problems and different math concepts in different ways. And then it kind of gives you the chance to pick whatever way makes most sense to you to solve. So they present like 3 to 4 different ways on most topics. And then you kind of just figure out what's working for, the child, is what makes sense to them most. So that flexibility is one of the biggest reasons why we've stuck with Singapore math.
Is
Do you
this
guys
the
want to
same
do?
as Dimensions?
So Dimensions
Dimension
is
Math.
also part of Singapore math. So
Okay.
math and focus is a different like curriculum within Singapore math. You're right. So there's Dimensions, and then there's another one. There's like 3 to 4, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Because we
And
use
we've tried,
Dimension.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I think Dimensions might be newer.
Yes, it is.
Don't quote me on that. Okay, it
Mm-hmm.
might be the
It is.
newest one.
Yep, it is. Yeah.
So maybe we'll try it out. We tried one that was like didn't have as many, I didn't think it did as good of a job as presenting different ways to solve problems. And then I felt like there wasn't enough practice with each one. So we kind of went back to math and focus. So yes, I'd love to know maybe from you also what you love about Dimensions, because
Mhm.
I've never tried it.
Yeah. I really love that it's a mastery curriculum versus um what's the other one?
Spiral?
Versus spiral. So this I feel like they stay really long with the topic before moving on to the next. Like they make sure that they
Yeah.
have enough practice. Um they really make it also fun um to do it. Like with at least we're doing kindergarten with my kindergartner. This is the first year that we're using it with him, and I'm enjoying it. And I think I also love the fact that you don't have tons of manipulatives because my
Mhm.
son is in a co-op right now and he's using Matthew C. And Matthew
Okay.
C is a little different. I think it's working for him, but we also do, we kind of implement as well a little bit of Charlotte Mason mental math.
Hmm.
I have an arithmetics book, and it's very heavy on mental math, and I love it. So we kind of like, so my oldest is using Matthew C, and then my youngest is using um, Singapore math. That he loves it. Like yesterday, he wanted to keep going. Like, okay, we need, which is different from my oldest that never wants to do math. So I'm just like, this is very interesting because he's like very into numbers. My middle one right now, so we're using Singapore with him at the moment,
Okay.
and we like it.
What about you, Joanna? What do you guys use for math?
So, for our oldest, we are going back to teaching textbooks after using CTC math for last year. We just couldn't get the hang of it really. It
Okay. What's
sounded, it
CPC?
CTC math, the way that I read it was like it's like having a personal tutor because it sees where your child's at, what they struggle with, and then navigate it from there. But I don't know, I just didn't find and it was like online thing.
Okay.
So like we just both of us on the parent end or the student end, we just could not use it to its fullest like potential. We
Hmm.
didn't really understand it, even though we tried.
Listen, and
um,
she's in 12.
oh yes,
She's in 12th grade.
yes. No, she's no. She's
No,
in 10th grade. I mean,
10th.
yes, I forgot to tell
Mention
Okay,
the
you
age.
my kids' ages.
she's 10th. 10th.
So yeah, she's going into 10th grade, and so we're just gonna do teaching textbooks for her. I like that one because she understands it, she gets along well with it, and it's easy for me because I don't have to sit there and grade anything, and it gives me the reports. Yeah, it's solid, and I like it. I like it.
Because that's an online curriculum.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
Mhm.
Hi, and then for the two little ones, we're doing The Good and the Beautiful.
Mhm.
And I like this one because it feels like it incorporates lots of like different types of math, different what word I'm looking for? Not curriculum, but different
Philosophy.
styles.
Okay.
Yeah, different philosophies. It
Uh-huh.
incorporates lots of different things like there's like spatial, and then there's mental
Mm.
math, and then there's music. They use music multiplication, and
Mm.
it's beautiful. Um, yeah, but also we add in some like extra math things that are a little bit
Mm.
fun, and I'm sure you guys might do this too. But I add in some logic,
Hmm.
Mm.
and that could be done with like they like to play chess with each other for logic, but also there's a free online homeschool curriculum called Easy Peasy,
Hmm.
like all in one, but they have a logic curriculum on there. And yeah, so we kind of loosely follow that.
Mm.
Um, just logic games, like single player. You know that brand of board games called Think Fun?
I've heard.
Yes.
Maybe not. Yeah. Okay. So they have a lot of single player logic kind of games, like
Mm.
Rush Hour, stuff like that. It's fun. But then yeah, just playing games. There's
Mm.
Hmm.
a math prime climb, shut the box. There's like specific ones too. I think like some swamps, that's about addition.
I've heard of.
Anything that has to do with money,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's all math.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah.
There's yeah,
I feel like Uno's really good for math,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
for littler ones. There's a game called it's by Robert Kiyosaki. It's what is it called? Um, Oh my gosh, they have an adult version. It just slipped my mind. But it's a math game. Sorry, it's a finance game. And it
Oh
talks
yeah.
about like liabilities and assets, and you have the money. It's a lot. It seems complicated maybe to for kids, but honestly, kids pick it up super fast. Oh, it's called cash flow. Cash flow for kids. So there's a cash flow that's an adult version, and then they have the kids version, and the kids love it. But it's a lot of the finance side of it.
That's
Hmm.
awesome. That is, I feel like that's one of the things that we have the opportunity to bring into homeschooling
Hmm.
is learning about real situations that you get in real life about math, right? Because
Hmm.
usually, usually you don't have to find the square whatever of, you know, of a number, right? Like you're usually going to have to deal with your taxes, and you're going to have to deal with, do I invest here or making a budget, right? And while I think all these concepts of algebra are very important, you know, as a foundation for math, I think also that doing things like this, where you really bring in the practical aspect of math into their lives, I think
Hmm.
I don't know, it's really a huge opportunity, because it doesn't happen in public school, or even in private school, not even public, but like it doesn't, it's not part of the curriculum of our schools, at least here.
Hmm.
You know, you don't see it unless you take it as an elective when you're like maybe in high school or something like that.
Hmm.
But that we'll put the name of that game in the show notes so you guys can get it.
Yeah. What do you guys think about? Yeah. Oh, go
Right,
ahead.
as you were
No, no.
talking about practical, everyday math, we can't forget, of course, cooking, which I know we
Yeah.
all do with our littles.
Yes.
So yeah, that definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about language arts? Do you have any favorites?
Mhm. So in the past we've done the good and the beautiful for kindergarten. Right now, my second grader, because he's in a co-op, they are doing all about reading. Is the curriculum that they're using. So and it's new for me, because yeah, we also did the Good and the Beautiful kindergarten and first grade. We did Good and the Beautiful both years, and I love it for the reasons that Joanna shared, because it's really, they love the little stories that you have an app on your phone that you can just pull in, and they have all these stories that are honestly beautiful. Like they're just very well thought, and they're written by the authors there. So I really really like it. So this year we're I'm still deciding if I'm gonna stick with the Good and the Beautiful for my kindergartner. But we found this curriculum too that it integrates different things. Oh my gosh, and the name is escaping my head, but mm, it's this woman that creates curriculums, Little House Learning Co. or something like that. And it's Charlotte Mason based, and so it's a lot of living books, and she has like phonics that follow the Charlotte Mason philosophy of education, which is very hands on and very really like you learn to read through reading the books, you know, and being read to. And so I'm still deciding, because I really liked The Good and the Beautiful, and I have it on my like I still have the one that I purchased, so I could just print it out. But I'm still deciding what to do, because we're also taking kindergarten very, very slow with him. He's not even 5; he'll be 5 in 2 weeks. Um, so we're still, yeah, taking it slow. But then with my second grader, it's yeah, all about reading, and then we're doing the living books when he's home with me, because he's only there 2 days a week. So that's what we're doing for language arts.
Yeah, so we also do the good and the beautiful for the two younger one for language arts. Like you said, the literature that comes along with it is
Mm.
top notch.
Yeah.
I love those stories. Um, just like that, it's faith-based as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
open and go. I like it. I love that the company actually gives it to the public for free on a PDF. That's actually the way that I always go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's high quality and free. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Books,
then for my
set of books that you get that go with the curriculum. They have like a different sets of little books that you just read throughout the curriculum as well. Um, which I think is really cool that you just have the books there. You don't have to go anywhere to the library or
yeah,
anything for that specific.
yeah, yeah. And so yes, like you haven't even gotten to the upper grades yet. So I
Mm-hmm.
love how the curriculum also integrates art appreciation because that's like huge for me. I love the beautiful quality pictures that they show.
Yeah.
They also kind of do geography along with it
Yes.
because yeah, you kind of like you study a country for a little bit and like the little characters and I think in the math as well, you know,
Yeah.
they have different a diverse group of children from different countries, and then you hear about, you know, like the food that they're eating
Mhm.
or their different names, and so that's a little plus on there as well. Um, for my so the two younger ones, they are fourth grade and kindergarten, by the way. So the 10th grader is not doing Good and the Beautiful. She used that all up. She did a lot of Good and the Beautiful, but she finished it basically. She is doing a um, language arts class in at co-op. It's called Art Appreciation and Written Composition.
Mm,
So she picked that one. I told her she had to take some kind of writing class. So
that's good.
yeah, but again with games, we play like little games that like Mad Libs, um, Dixit, Scrabble.
Mm.
Oh, Story Cubes.
I
Have you
love
guys played
stories.
the Story Cubes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm,
So all those kinds of things we do, journaling. That's language arts is huge, right? Because there's also like writing if you're it's a lot. So besides what they're going to be doing for writing in their classes, like I said, we do like a nature journal or we
mm,
also do like a art culture kind of journaling. And
mhm.
it's kind of sporadic, you know, they're like dabbling in it. We do it occasionally.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'm going to say is um, we used to do Brave Writer, like the
Mm,
writing
mm,
curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. I loved it so much. So, but we still, but like Good and the Beautiful is just more open and go and easier for me to do with all three kids.
mhm,
But I still do the Brave Writer lifestyle, which is like we do poetry tea time and we read books and watch movies after we're done, and we um, do yeah, just like her lifestyle. I can't remember. We do free Friday free write. She has a list of
mm,
topics, and
yes.
I do it like you don't have to read me your things. Uh, that one's just about like original thought
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
because kids get so stuck on like I'm not going to spell everything right. I'm going to forget the commas,
yes.
so they get stuck and but original thought is just like their imagination for the story. So like they can write, misspell things,
Yeah. Yeah. So
no
free right.
punctuation,
Yeah, I love.
just a free write. Yes.
Yes, we're implementing something this year for the first time. That I saw another homeschooler do, and I was like, I love that idea, which is Mail Monday. So I am preparing this, I don't know, basket with envelopes and little cards and post-its and things that they can use. And I told my family and friends, we're doing this year. So please respond if you can. So we're gonna be doing that because for my second grader, writing it's not doesn't come naturally. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to find ways that are creative and that he enjoys and that is just exciting to like wait in the mail for something to come in. So, and that's, it's language arts, it's composition. He's going to be writing in Spanish. So that's because my parents, they know English, but I'm like, they will be more comfortable reading in Spanish. So, I'm excited to try that this year for the first time. Yeah.
I love
But
that idea. Having like a
Mm-hmm.
mail station.
yeah.
There was a
Mm-hmm.
there was a book like a long, long time ago that I saw. This lady, she created this little station, and it was a book how to like create a home
Mm,
for that like quick learning. So she created an entire station just for writing letters, and it was the cutest thing ever. Yeah.
that's really, and then having it available too for them to like just
Mm-hmm.
whenever they maybe feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
But
I for language arts for us, we um we have someone who I'm starting my youngest one kind of in kindergarten. It's like the joy of when they're in these in between ages. Like you
Yeah.
don't really have to be in this grade, but we'll just try.
Mhm.
We'll just see what's happening with this. So
Yeah.
I use Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons for all the kids. Actually, no, for the last two. And it has been successful. I didn't use it with my oldest, and I feel like it's very dry,
Mhm.
scripted, but it's a really short lesson, and that's okay with me. If it's like short and gets to the point, it's okay if it's not the full amount of,
Yeah.
reading. Um, but if it's structured enough, that can just give them the tools to get started to read.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try that with her, and I'm gonna do it with my second grader because he's not the strongest reader. So we're just going to review it together. Just
Mhm.
he doesn't have to start at the beginning, but I'm like, why not? They are kind of like two peas in a pod, and they're always together. So this is my idea of just like let them feel like they're doing it together. It'll be easy for the oldest one, and the youngest one will just be happy that she has someone else, with her.
I love
Um,
that.
we'll see how it goes. We've
That's
tried a couple lessons like this, and they had fun. So I was like, okay, sure, we'll just keep going. Um,
yeah.
and then the other ones, I have used Explode the Code for more phonics based workbooks. I feel like they're simple and they're easy and they kind of just like to go through them. And I think the breakdown of it has been helpful for them for understanding phonics concepts. And then everything else is very loose. So, yeah, we have Brave Writer. Um, I've tried a little bit with my oldest one. I could implement it again. He's done some outschool classes on some more structured writing, and that was helpful um, as far as like different types of essays. I've used Outschool actually here and there for different things that if I feel like I hit a wall and I'm like, I don't know how else to keep going forward without frustrating them and me feeling frustrated. Sometimes it's just like a different instructor, even if it's just like a 2 class or 1 class time.
Mhm.
That's been a huge thing that's been helpful. Um, and then everything else is a lot of just reading and read alouds, um, poetry tea time. We haven't done it a lot, but that has been implemented because just another fun reason to drink tea and eat something fun.
I love it. Yeah. We do it too.
But yeah.
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 For poetry tea time, what I do, I know that's not something I can do the entire year. So I do plan to do that late fall into winter.
Hmm.
But like in the early fall and springtime, I'm more excited to get out of the house. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to be cozy, you're spending more hours indoors. That's when I pull out the poetry tea time.
It's a great idea.
Even though they've been trying to convince me, like, where's the poetry tea time? It's Tuesday, Mom. I'm like, not yet.
Yeah.
Late fall. Just wait. Just wait.
Mm-hmm.
We're still like out of the house because the weather's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
I
really good
agree.
point. Yeah, that's a really good point. I was thinking, hearing you guys talk about curriculum, I know that my oldest is 7, so we've been homeschooling officially. I mean, officially for 2 years, really 3 years maybe. But I think the biggest, and maybe for our listeners, this also is part of their, fear, is picking a curriculum. Like I
Mm-hmm.
struggle hard. Like I will go to bed at 1 a.m. just reviewing videos of people just reviewing curriculums, like just going through it because just you are, at least my experience has been like, I want to get it right. Like if I invest in a curriculum, and that's why for the first years, like I did little or no curriculum, and I was just like, we're gonna just learn, we're gonna on school, we're just gonna be learners of the world. And I think in part is because I was so fearful of choosing a curriculum that wasn't going to speak the language, the learning language of my child, and being like feeling like I was maybe tied to it, and like
Mhm.
now I have to follow every single thing. But what I have found as we, grow as homeschoolers is that that is far from the truth. Like you really choose the curriculum as a guide, right? You can choose and pick from that curriculum what is going to be helpful for you or
Mhm.
and so that really helped me be at ease of not feeling this whole pressure like I have to get it right. And so it's so many topics too. Like you don't want to overwhelm your schedule with like all these things. And now what I do is I really tell myself like it's okay to pick from here, pick from there, and create something that is unique to your family, to your culture,
Mhm.
to your style, to the season you're in. Because I have a 2-year old. Like sometimes we start a lesson and we don't finish it until he goes back to a nap, right? And so really finding a curriculum that speaks to you and understanding that maybe next year when that toddler is older, this curriculum is not going to longer serve us well, and so
Mhm.
feel free to move to something different. What have you guys found in regards to that, like choosing curriculum? Has it been easy? Has it been challenging?
I
Yeah, sorry.
No, go
Um,
ahead.
I I think back to my homeschooling career, and I've switched around a lot with the first. Now for the second and the third, I'm kind of just more like I already know what I like, but it took some time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I do love what you said about not being you're not no one's gonna come knock on the door and be like, you didn't do the curriculum the
Mhm.
correct way, you skipped
Yeah.
this. No, like on any given day, I still will be like, okay, I'll cross out some math problems so that it's done quicker. Just why
Mm-hmm.
not? Why not? Because you can
Yeah.
change something, especially like I'm thinking about history and you hear something that you're like, but I want to think about that a little bit more because do we want to believe everything we read?
Yeah.
And you can go off on whatever topic that you're reading about, like whatever, wherever your mind goes.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You can bring your kids along on that thought
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and elaborate with a different point of view. Anything.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great idea. I think the idea that like curriculum, you don't teach to curriculum, like the curriculum is just a guide and it's an assistant and it can help you as much as you want it to or as little as you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
But that it's not like this, I'm gonna get through this. Actually, Joanna, you've helped me remind me of this with math. You're like, they don't have to finish the book, at the end of the year.
Hmm.
It's okay, and I'm like, you're right. But it's hard to break some of those things because I'm like, no, I need to get to the end because that means something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but it
Yeah.
means like, but it's also just the way that I was brought up in school and what I know to be like, you need to do this because this is what's expected. So,
Yeah. That is.
but yeah, I love that idea though, Joanna, about actually when you were saying that about taking something and just thinking on it. I think about that in history. Like history is one of my favorite subjects to teach with the kids, and um, I feel like we do that a lot. Where it's like, okay, we try my best. I try my best to just teach history through different um, memoirs or books from a time period that we're talking about, but also keeping it open to asking questions like, okay, this was their experience, what's the other experience maybe about this exact same event, because there are always different angles and experiences surrounding an event in history. So I think that's like one of my favorite things is topic wise, like trying to find the other voice that isn't heard a lot. And I think as we talk about like diverse voices, um, that's one of the limitations with curriculum, to be honest, I think, in
Yeah.
my opinion, is that you're getting everything funneled through the makers of the curriculum
Sure.
versus lots of different voices.
Yeah.
And so I think when you can see curriculum, I mean, you could, like you said, Johannes, be like, I'm unschooling none of this. I'm not using any of it. And that's great for those who unschool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for those who are like, oh, I do like having the guide of curriculum and having some things there for me already set up. I think that's the way that you can balance those when you run into like, okay, they told the story about history and that's not, I don't know if I really, what do I think about that? Like, what about this? What about that? And obviously that can be child led or prompted by, you to think more.
It makes me think about this book by Julie Bogart, Raising Critical Thinkers.
Hmm.
That's exactly her point on it. Really offering a feast of ideas and being like, okay, what do we think about this? And helping our children understand that not everything we read is necessarily true, or
Hmm.
it's the whole truth, and so
Hmm.
really knowing that there's other perspectives to bring in. That is a phenomenal book to really, as if you're starting homeschooling, or if you've been a lot of years into it, I think it's a great book to really, especially thinking about history, and even the world and faith, helping your kids ask the right questions. It's huge. And then the other thing that made me think when you were talking, Elizabeth, is about these. She has an Instagram, but she also has a website called Stories of Color.
Hmm.
And if you're looking for books about specific topics in history, or um, current events, or holidays, or really anything at all, she has created these incredible, I will say, online library of
Hmm.
ideas and recommendations of books that bring in the diverse perspective in that matter. And
Hmm.
it's wonderful because it's classified by grade, by topic, and so we will leave it to in the show notes. But that is a great resource if you're starting on and you're like, I don't know, like all the books seem to just maybe represent one idea. I would like more. That's a great place to
Yeah.
start. Hmm.
No, I use that as a huge resource for looking up books
Hmm.
for the kids on different topics all the time. I love
Yeah.
that site. I think it's. Mhm.
If we're mentioning like those types of book lists, Heritage Mob Blog,
Yeah.
Yes, I like her too.
her Here We Read,
Hmm.
and then I also like Read Aloud Revival book
Yeah.
list.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're, I don't know if you've looked at it lately, but yeah, they're, I mean, all of them just
Hmm.
always updating.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, all like really great living books.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Do you guys have a history curriculum? I know that you guys have younger children, so like I don't think that I did history really when they were younger. It was more like social studies or local to where we live.
Mm.
Do you guys?
Yeah.
We don't have a specific curriculum. We just go off of lots of it. Like last year, we started the year, and in my mind, I was like, okay, we're going to talk about this topic. But then, um, the conflict in Israel and
Mm.
Palestine happened or didn't happen. Okay, that's not what I,
Yeah.
the conflict, in Israel and Palestine escalated, and so, then we kind of just shifted gears and we're like, okay, this is happening. It's everywhere in our world.
Yeah.
Let's dive into some memoirs. So we started reading memoirs. And so I feel like history is so fun because there's so much I mean, we're living in it. So it's like, let's take whatever sounds interesting at this time. And we do like go back, obviously, in time. Current events are always fun for me. But
Mhm.
um right now the kids got really into Greek mythology
Mm.
because we were listening to a podcast, and every time we're in the car, that's all they want to listen to. So we've gone through episode after episode of Greek mythology, and we actually tried listening to it a couple years ago and they weren't interested at all. And so
Mm.
I'm like, okay, well, now they're interested, so now this is what we're going to learn. So yeah, ours is really loose, just based on interest and current events, whatever happens to fall in our lap.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We use, so with history, we integrated with artist study. So we study like a composer or a poet, or, and then we kind of, we were studying, oh my goodness, why am I blanking with the name of
Music,
paint,
music or art?
painter?
Monet.
Yes.
Picasso.
Ah, yeah, Monet. Claude Monet. So we were studying him, and so we studied where he grew up, and we went in Google Earth, and we kind of walked through the garden where he grew up, and it was just so cool. Like they were so excited, and so really bringing life to it, and someone told me this, and I can't remember who was it, but that history is about them. It's about them
Hmm.
in the world, like they
Yeah.
as citizens of the world, and where they are, and how the things that have happened and will happen and are happening impact them and their worldview. That's history. And so I don't know, that always like that thought makes me excited about history, because I think in school was really dry and boring. And so really seeing him as part, as the protagonist too of that, of history in the making, I don't know, it's really cool. And then we also, with the Bible, going back to,
Hmm.
the Bible, that's also part of how we do
History.
history. But it's like you're saying, Elizabeth, it's like very I think based on, especially my oldest is interest in, and kind of following that more than anything.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Anna.
So yeah, history for me, like Elizabeth, you said, it's one that I really enjoy teaching the kids.
Hmm.
I'm not going to let it go. Like even if they want to take like a co-op class, I'm still going to be teaching them at home, history at home, because it is just so great for just tons of different conversations that pop
Hmm.
up. Um, I like Good and the Beautiful. Surprise, they have history. And I might be switching soon though, because so the plan for them is there's like four of them, and they come with like a storybook, they come with a timeline you put stickers and you just keep putting them on there throughout the 4 years. So you
Mm,
do the 4 years and then you go back and do the 4 years again.
Hmm.
Um, but the fourth, I'm just about to buy the fourth one because we were just finishing up the third one, and they're changing up their entire history. They're like revamping, so I cannot get the fourth one. And I'm like, oh no, they messed it up for me. So um, I'm kind of using their government right now, which is very good. I like it. Um, the other thing I like about the Good and the Beautiful history, besides the timeline, but like you were saying, it does go to ancient biblical times a lot, like on that timeline, so you can see what is happening at, like this is what was happening when this was happening, and they put it together,
mm,
and it's like a from the beginning to the end. Each one is leaving some things out, but like after the 4 years, you'll get an entire, like a robust understanding
mm, mhm,
about history.
Hmm.
Um, I also like that each level comes with a game.
mm,
Uh, actually, fun games. They're cute. They have like a little board, and I don't know. It's been great to play those games, integrated into them, and then with their history, you're supposed to also be reading a book, and they of course have a great list.
mhm,
Um, yeah, so to me that's all you would need. Um, I in the past we've listened to like some podcasts or like some little television shows, and
mm.
always into learning about local history as well.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we whenever we travel back home in Puerto Rico, um I try to kind of like bring that in for a lesson and understanding, you know who we are as a country back in Puerto Rico, and uh, why we're able to come here to the States without a passport, all of those things, and what happened in 1898, that is impacting today, all of that to their level, they're just excited to go to the beach and see grandma, but using that as an opportunity for them to, learn about their country because it is their country. Um,
Yeah.
so I I think if you're I think a lot of people can be intimidated by. I'm intimidated by math because it's my hardest topic, but I think a lot of people can be also intimidated by history,
Mhm.
because it's really one of those things that I always say that ideas have consequences. So if you get history wrong, you make an assumption of why life is the way it is right now because of what you think happened in the past, but it didn't
Mhm.
happen that way. And so I get it why it can be like, but if you're listening to this is your sign to bring history in a fun way and just follow your child lead, your children
Mhm.
um, into that.
I always want to encourage the kids, like, what I didn't get in school. So, like you said, I I I was in public school and got a version of history that was very one-sided.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people have an aversion or they feel like,
Mm,
oh, now we're like learning new history, or like, this is like different than what I learned. But I think helping your kids realize, like, there's perspectives that are not often shared, and that's just the reality of our world in general. We know what we know based on kind of some small funnels of information that we get from different sources.
mhm.
And that really, like, looking at historical events as, um, even conflicts where there's not just two sides to a conflict, but then you have people on the outskirts from who have different views, and then you have, people who we don't get to hear, for whatever reason, and they might have a different view of how that conflict looks or went. So I think that's why I love history so much, is because it just allows, teaching history at home. It allows for so much of a broader perspective, than I think than ever I got to have. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah.
It's
but
great for like sharpening those like critical thinking skills.
Mhm.
hmm
So you're learning more than just history. You're teaching them how, yeah, like how to think critically, like you were
Mhm.
saying, whose perspective are we hearing right now
Yeah.
and
yeah,
whose perspective is missing.
Yeah.
I remember
yes,
reading that somewhere and then
yes, yeah,
identifying that.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Really good. That's really good.
Science. Let's talk about science as the
Mm.
last subject here. Those are some of the main ones right
the
there.
main
I know
ones, yeah,
there's
There's so
tons
much.
of other ones. Yeah, like I'm thinking handwriting, typing, geography,
language, yeah,
language learning, like
Yeah.
different, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
so many things that you
Mm-hmm.
can incorporate. And actually, if you are somebody who's looking at all those lists of things and you're overwhelmed by like, oh, there's so much that I have to teach this kid before they're an adult. Yes, it's just a little bit every day though. And morning time is a great way to teach some of those things. Like everyone's all together just
Yes.
a little bit every day. And before you know it, like every day has moved the needle. And so
hmm
Mm-hmm.
circle time is a great time to throw those like random subjects in.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But so science, tell me, what do you guys do for
Yeah.
science?
Yeah. I love that though. I love the morning time. Really, that's when we do most of these things. And math is the only thing that right now we do individually, but and language like writing, maybe practice writing. But other than that, we do it together. Like even science,
hmm
they're all interested in like what floats, what sinks, like all of those things. But the biggest way we do science is through nature study. We love doing nature study, and we just started this year doing something called notebooking, which is kind of just taking something from nature and putting it on a cardstock and writing something about it, and then painting it all with watercolors. It's just beautiful. Like it's just so. And then you put them all together at the end of the year, and then they have like their notebooking journal. Um, and I was listening to these podcasts, and this lady was talking about nature study, and she was saying about how much. it develops um, kind of like, for example, the skill of observation in children, and
Mhm.
attentiveness, and looking for details and being in awe and imagination. And she was saying, so she was showing pictures of, I don't know, her dining table, and she's like, is there nature here? And then she was like, yes, there's nature. Like, it's a wooden table, there's nature in there. So she was saying sometimes we think science and nature and understanding the world has to be one way, this specific way where you
Mhm.
sit down and you follow the scientific process and that's how you do science. And
Mhm.
she was saying no, like science and nature and being observant of what's around us is every moment, because you are talking to people and they are nature, they have things in them that speak of nature. And so that blew my, I was like, it's so true. Like sometimes you think like you have to do it this way. But really, like, science is something that it's so much about paying attention and observing
Mhm.
the world around us, the clouds, and I don't know, a window that has water. What's that? That's condensation. And all of these things that are just happening around us all the time. And I will say this is the last thing, but it's so funny when you develop these things with your children and you're learning alongside them. I remember
Mhm.
um, I became a bird watcher. Like, it's just so funny because I always look at these people. I'm like, bird watching is for old persons, older people that don't have anything else to do. But now I'm like, that's a robin, that's a cardinal, that's a blue jay, and just like, and
Mhm.
the sound that they make. And it just really changes the way you engage with the world around you. So yeah, that's the way we do science in our home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say about the bird watching. I mean, what homeschooler does not become a bird watcher? I mean,
Correct.
that's like a rite of passage. But have you played the bird bingo game?
The bird bingo game?
It's
No.
so
No.
beautiful. They have a bunch of different ones. They have like ocean bingo, but
Mm.
yeah, it's just a different type of bird, and the pictures are beautiful. And then I also have this book that makes the sound of each bird. It's like one of those audio
Mhm.
books.
Mhm.
No,
Yes.
like the actual book, but you push a button and it has audio. And it's specific to the region. And then we have this really amazing bird feeder that we just stick it to the window. And so the birds come to eat at the window. And it's clear, so you can see the bird on the other side.
So fun.
Love it. Love
Love
it.
it.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, I think we're all on the same page as far
yeah.
as like just it's very natural
Yeah.
as far as science goes. I was a little intimidated because science for me in school was, I don't know, it was kind of stressful. I didn't enjoy it, and
Mm.
it was so scripted and disconnected. It was like, today we're going to learn about the planets, tomorrow we're going to learn about rocks. It just felt like, why do I care about any of this when it wasn't connected to anything else? So we do a lot of just like observing the seasons, like looking outside the window and looking at the big tree that's always in front of the window and talking about how, the leaves are changing. We do lots of walks, so that helps to just see what's happening around us. But also, um, I love like exploring other aspects of science, like um, through other people who just are passionate about it. One of our neighbors is really into stargazing and knows all of the planets, and he always alerts us when something's happening in the sky. And so they just
So cool.
naturally glean from him, like
Mhm.
whatever is happening, like what planet can we see tonight? And he has special telescopes. So that's one of the biggest things aside from science, but in general, that I'm trying to remember. Like, I don't have all the information in the world, and I'm not passionate about everything. So if someone else is passionate about an aspect that I'm not, like let's hang out, not like in a weird, have a classroom and
Yeah.
teach us a lesson necessarily, but just like, let's just remember that, and learn from them
So true.
as much as we can. So the kids also love like National Geographic shows. Like if,
Mhm.
if we're talking about like winter and it's getting dark, and they always love watching those kind of like survival shows out in Alaska or something like that, which they learn a lot about science in that way.
Yeah.
But maybe one day we'll do more experiments. I need to get there, but
Yes.
Hmm.
There's books in the library. We recently checked out a lot of books about, because my son says that's his favorite topic, science, and we've checked out a lot of books that gives you so many ideas of experiments, of just things that we did one the other day with a balloon that you put. I don't even remember what it was, but like it like glided by itself, and he was like fascinated by that. Um, I was going to say one thing we did recently was, I don't know if anybody has done this before, but it's like you can see live um, cameras of that are recording animals around the world, and we were reading about raccoons, and we like just like there was like camera with raccoons, and you could see the raccoons there sleeping, and it was the coolest thing because it was happening live, like, and they were like, Mom, look, like where it's like we're there. I'm like, it is. Like this is really cool. And so I love what you said, Elizabeth. Like homeschooling, if you get anything for this from this conversation, is that you have so much around you to support
mhm,
this journey. The reality is that you're not doing this alone. There's so much out there. I think if there's any time in history where homeschooling can be successful, is right now. We have so much at our fingertips, maybe sometimes way
mhm,
too much. Um, but yeah, having people like your neighbor that knows about stars, or your neighbor that, I don't know, has chickens and can teach, the life cycle of a chicken, like in real life.
mhm.
Um, it's available and it's there for you to, include it in your homeschool journey, in your homeschool experience. But
I
yeah, we love it. Okay, yeah, what are you gonna say?
I'll tell a little bit about what we're doing for science this year. So science is another subject that I absolutely love as well. There's so many aspects to it, but it's not always the funnest to teach. So they also do their science at a co-op. My oldest daughter, 10th grade, she's doing forensic science, and it sounds
Oh.
such an amazing class. The teacher has this big elaborate um, crime scene at her house. She has this large farm. They're going to be solving the mystery of the crime from the beginning to the end. They have amazing field trips planned. It sounds so fun. She's really excited about it. Um, so then my fourth grader, she's going to basically just do two science classes at co-op. She's doing Your Amazing Body. So she's going to learn about the different systems of the body.
Mhm.
And I'm going to actually take advantage of that and also teach her about her menstrual cycle before all that
Mm,
kind of thing happens. I want
yeah.
her to understand. I did it for my oldest as well. Like right before, I was like, oh, she's going to get her period in the next couple years. So I am going to purposefully talk about it
Mhm.
and teach her what's going on because
For
that
sure.
that all of that matters. So
Yeah.
I'll be doing that, teaching her about her body, and then at co-op they'll be teaching her, and she's also doing a STEAM class called
Mhm.
Club Zoom,
Yeah.
Mm,
so that sounds like fun. And then my kindergartner, he's taking a class at co-op. It's Magic School Bus Science,
yeah.
Mhm.
which works because watching Magic School Bus is science,
Mm-hmm.
like I learned stuff from it. So yes, like shows like that um is also helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I also like to watch, like during lunch, sometimes we're like tired and we just want to watch something. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, we watch little YouTube videos on sciencey type of things. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mystery Science is good. They're quick.
Yes.
Um, Crash Course. They're actually Good and the Beautiful has a science
Yeah.
YouTube channel, and that one's good too. Um, Podcasts. We listen to Wow in the World. I learn something from there most of the time. And like Brains On, another
Brains on.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We listen to that one too.
Um, but like you said, yeah, living life, experiencing the world, and just talking about it.
Yeah.
Field trips. Oh, sometimes we
Mm.
get those like Kiwi crate boxes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and you know, It's in there. Everything's in there. Occasional um, science experiments at home, but that's not my forte. Like,
Yeah.
but one resource I like for that is Emily's Wonder Lab.
Oh,
Yes.
She's
Yeah.
she has a new book out,
Yeah.
and she has like the Netflix show. She did it while pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
So, you guys feel like we've covered a lot of the curriculum choices? We did.
Yeah.
We've been
Yes.
talking for a while.
Yes. So we hope that, yeah, whoever is listening, that they feel like they have some ideas. But we want to come back, and for our next episode, we want to talk to you about ideas on how to plan your homeschool year, how to plan your homeschool term or semester, however you call it, your weeks and your days, and share what we do in hopes that it will be helpful for you. So you're gonna miss our next episode. But for now, we want to say thank you so much for listening, for tuning in after our long break. We promise to stick around now. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Homeschool Experience. And yeah, we will see you next time. Bye.
Hi.